Hello, welcome, God bless. So this is lessening homelessness. The confusing message that is spewed from the left incessantly through school systems, media, news, science, nothing really adds up. So hey, let's start with science. Why not? You know, technically, if you pay attention in science class, a fact is something that you can test and prove. A theory is something that you can likely test and prove. And a hypothesis is something that you cannot test and cannot prove. Evolution is a hypothesis by science definition, and yet it's gone from being taught as a theory to an absolute fact, which is shoved down our face through all media circuits. I mean, you can't go even to like national parks without it being like 50 million years ago. It's like, we don't know what their atmosphere was, so you don't even know if the carbon dating works, because the carbon rates we have right now isn't necessarily what they had back then. So what should be or what would be, if they have the exact same, you know, atmosphere as we do right now, would be back then, but we have no idea because there's no way to prove it. And you can go and do like ice. They do like, you know, when they stab ice, so like way down and they bring it up and you can see all the years. You can go back several hundred years and it's just like there's massive swings in Earth, and then getting hot, getting cold. I mean, just in the 70s, you know, scientists were adamant that we're going into a major ice age. Now they're adamant that we're warming up, but now that was not really going so good. So now it's just climate change. Of course it's going to be climate change, especially if you're going to call Earth Mother. She's a woman. She's in, you know, menopause. What's your problem? Do you really think it's going to be? Nothing that is alive is stable. It's always in a constant state of change. Constant. So, and then you have gender. There's no difference. We're interchangeable. No. Men and women complement each other. We're not called to compete, and we're not called to we can't flip and become the other. And I love it. It's like, you know, don't say he, don't say she, you know, you can just flip. It's, you know, there's no truth. The truth of the matter is that men are bigger than women. Men have more testosterone than women. Men have 20% more oxygen in their cells than women. Men can't give birth. There's so many differences, even in our muscles, so many differences between us, and our difference doesn't make one, you know, better or worse. It's just different. Like I said, we're called to complement each other. So my strength will be your weakness, and your weakness will be my strength. But yeah, so just the lie that we're interchangeable. We're not interchangeable, and we're not called to compete, because we're not on the same level. We're like in parallel universes, chilling together side by side. Anywho, and then you have like the whole like, well, we'll do blacks next and non-whites, because for some reason whites are supposed to be like superhumans, and there's so much white hatred from the left. It's really unbecoming. Your intolerance and prejudice against white people, your very own, is not okay. It's downright illegal. It's really not okay. So you have that where it's like, oh, well, if you're white, you're going to have to pay for everything. And if you want to go to college, you need a certain GPA, and you need all these extra stuff that you've done, you know, to try to get to college, all your outside activities. You have so many hoops to go through when you're white, and a lot of times, especially if you need help, like the government and even private agencies will not even consider helping you if you're white. There's so much prejudice against white people, especially females without kids. Programs are really made for single mothers and addicts and non-whites. Those are the top three. So yeah, so that's not okay. And then the message, especially with black people, I mean, the left, I mean, we got the KKK from you and the slavery and the whole the cradle to grave mentality, which is still alive and well today with, you know, WIC and housing and education and food stamps. And oh my gosh, it's just unbelievable how you still have the black population enslaved and they still love you. It's really confusing. And you know, it's like the black community, they actually don't need a GPA or anything to get into college. They just go, hey, I'm black man, look at this. Or you got Hillary, hey, I've got ovaries. That means that means I'm ready to be president of the United States. Oh my gosh, since when does that organ make you suitable for anything? And that's just sexism right there, to say that you're the one for the job because of your gender. That's as bad as men saying, oh no, this is a man's work. So, which some stuff really is women's work and man's work, because like I said, we're really different. So, anywho, but we have some things we can share. I don't like the whole politician stuff. Anywho, so back to blacks. And even non-whites. I have a family member who's adoptive, and he's not completely white, and he was actually offered a scholarship based on the fact that he wasn't white. She didn't feel overly like great about that, but I'm like, hey, if they're going to be prejudiced, why not you? Why shouldn't it be you who takes the money? I think it's completely illegal and discriminatory. I mean, if you're going to give money away, give it because the person has promise in that field, not because of their skin color. But I'm like, if they're that narrow-minded and that backwards, go ahead and take it. And he actually did. He beat everyone else out. Oh, goodness gracious. But yeah, and did you hear that thing? It was that Indian guy, and he actually pretended, he said he was part black. So there was some medical college where if you weren't white, especially if you're black, the criteria is like totally different. So yeah, he wound up dropping out because he couldn't hack the classes. But yeah, it is alarming how often the left loves to look the other way. I mean, you're saying blacks are equal and we need equality, but on the other hand, you're saying, oh, they're too stupid to actually learn a language. Oh, they're too, like, I don't know, are they disabled or something that they can't like pull their pants up? Men, pull your pants up. It's just beyond nasty. It's called underwear because it's under what you're wearing. Nobody wants to see you hanging out, front or back. Just stop. It's so disgusting. But yeah, you're saying they're equals, but you do anything and everything to make sure no one sees them as an equal. I have to say, it's really confusing. Then you have the whole education system where, you know, facts are just thrown out the window. And plus, you know, it's like it's all paid for. Like, people like nowadays just don't have a concept of how do you say, working for anything. It's just everything's handed. Like, oh, you don't have to pay anything. You don't have to prove yourself in school whatsoever. I mean, if taxpayers are paying for it, there should be like a cutoff. Like, you know, you're going to perform. You're not going to terrorize, and if you don't want to be here to learn, well then, bye-bye. It's just really not cool the way it's set up at the moment. But, you know, and we've got it, and even with, like, the insurance, like, you know, there's something, I saw this girl on YouTube, and she's freaking out because, what if Trump takes away, like, the insurance? Like, what is she supposed to do if she graduates before she's 26? Wow. Get a job, chick. Yeah, that's what life is about. And I mean, there's just this drive of just sit in school, be still, don't do anything. But then you want them to be like productive members of a society, but you're training them to do nothing. And training them to get everything for free. Their food's for free, their education's for free, their housing's for free. Like, oh my gosh, it's really a confusing message, especially if it's like a single parent. I mean, not only do they get food stamps like automatically, but then then they can sign up for the kids to like be fed yet again because so many parents aren't feeding their kids. And now I just heard a thing that, what is it, 877. If you text that, they'll get you on a whole nother program, so you can actually be getting food from 3 times over from taxpayers. Ah, that sucks. Well, you have people like me who are really struggling and can't get help for anything because we're white and we actually have issues. I'm so tired of the prices rising on everything except for the check. Oh my gosh. 4 years in SIP. Yeah, I just went and got lunch today. Man, was that a steep increase. Ouch. Anywho, let's see. The confusing messages of the left. Your love for gays. You say you love gay people, and anybody who is like, you know, will deny their gender or do like, yeah, gender denial, that covers everything, no matter how many letters you put in there. And yet, like Hillary Clinton, she took tens of millions of dollars from Muslim countries that we know of, who believe that caning gays can cure it, and they regularly throw gays off of buildings. Look it up. And also, I mean, and in the Muslim, it's more than nations because it's a whole faith, and they tie everything together. So it's the politics and religion are all tied up together. Yeah, what was it? Huma, her best buddy, assistant Huma, her mother is on record of supporting female genital mutilation. How is that pro-woman when you're taking money and best friends with a culture that believes in gang rape, child marriage, rape marriage? They believe that if a guy rapes you, then he has the right, you know, if you're like 8 or 9, then he has the right to marry you because you're going to be a stigma. And then your family actually has the right to kill you if you get raped because somehow you've wronged the world, not the rapist. Huh? So yeah, that's really confusing too. I tell you. And then like everyone is right except for Christians, and then you like say, oh, we need to pass this except for we can't tell you what it is, or we're going to pass it, but you know, you can still keep your faith or your insurance, which that's never the case. I mean, how many Christians have been sued over the last couple of years with gay marriage? How many people still have the doctors they want? Not happening. So there's a lot of confusing things coming out of the left. Of course, it's really confusing when you have men saying that they're women saying they're men, women saying that they're for women, but they support rapists and pedophiles. Then you have people like, what is that? That one woman up, what was it, Seattle, who's saying she's black, but she's white. And then you have Elizabeth Warren saying she's American Indian, but she's white. I mean, if these people, like, seriously, if you can't even accept your gender or your nationality, you really aren't in a position of being a professor or a politician. Or anything, except for a patient, maybe. Anywho, it's very confusing. Lord have mercy on these kids coming up. Lord have mercy. Alrighty. Bye-bye.